Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has announced that she intends to run for a Senate seat in the state of Texas. And she did kick off her campaign with an unusual video launch, which we'll get to in just a moment. And after that, we'll talk a little bit about various interviews in which questions about Israel were asked of her. Her answers weren't great, spoiler alert. But before we get to any of that, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Yeah, so look, I want to support Jasmine Crockett because she fights back against Republicans. But does she? So that's really the question here. Is she the right candidate in Texas to win back Texas for the Democrats? And does she fight back against the powerful? That's where you know where someone has courage or not. So let's talk about it. Let's have an honest conversation about it.
So first, I want to show you her announcement video, which was released just yesterday. Take a look.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man, oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
So yesterday, she did give a 40-minute speech to explain why she's running for Senate. And in that, we'll see whether there were actual policy proposals or her vision for the future of the country as a senator out of Texas. But first, I want to get your reaction to that announcement video.
Awkward. Look, sometimes you try new things and it works. And I want to encourage people to try new things and do things a little bit differently. That one was #cringe.
I mean, it was an ad about her and her conflict with Donald Trump.
But that,
but hold on, pause. Let me just finish my thought. Well, why would that be a compelling message for people, especially in today's economy, right? So I'm not saying don't try new things and try to be like avant-garde with your political ads, but you have to kind of ground it in ensuring that the message prioritizes the people that you're trying to represent. I just think it was about her, and it was about Donald Trump attacking her and how she's a tough person who's gonna really fight Donald Trump. I don't know. It's just, it's all about her. That's what comes across.
First of all, Anna, I just got to say.
And the acting and all that, yeah. It's a little strange.
The way to win Texas is to go populist and say, we're going to increase your wages, we're going to lower the prices, and we're going to fight super hard for you, right? So I don't mind her fighting Trump. I like that she's fighting Trump. But yeah, this seemed like it was all about me. But remember, she's also not running in Rhode Island. She's running in Texas. So I don't know that fighting against Trump just for its own sake, without attaching it to things that American voters care about, like prices, is a winning strategy in Texas. It seems like it's a winning strategy to raise a lot of money for your campaign from Democratic donors, grassroots donors. I don't know that it helps you electorally in the general election.
So as I mentioned yesterday, Jasmine Crockett did give a 40-minute speech to explain why she's running for Senate. And one of our producers watched the entire thing and reported back. Now she did, talk about affordability, to be fair. And she didn't really explain what her concrete solutions would be to the affordability crisis. But nonetheless, at least she talked about it. She is already serving in Congress. So let's take a look at her record to see what she supports. And it will give us a better sense of what her leadership would look like as a member of the Senate. In April of last year, she voted to send over $26 billion in US taxpayer money to Israel as security assistance. That same month, she voted yes on a resolution condemning the phrase, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," as anti-Semitic. According to Americans for Justice in Palestine Action, Crockett has not called for a ceasefire in Gaza. Last year, Crockett just basically consistently voted along with Republicans and most Democrats, to be honest, to provide more and more military aid to Israel. So I put my cards on the table, and you guys know where I stand on various issues. For me, support for Israel's war machine is a red line. And so I'm really bothered by what I'm reading here. According to Americans, so last year Crockett was asked how she feels about Americans who are tired of sending money to Israel. And here's what she had to say about that.
I understand. I also think that if people are going to vote as it relates to foreign affairs, which typically is not how people vote. When you start talking about foreign affairs, if that is going to be kind of like the precipice for determining whether you vote or who you vote for, then I want people to really dig in to foreign affairs, right? Like, and ask the question, which I think is a fair question. I think it's a fair question of all the money. If I'm being 1,000 about this, when you think about, and because of the conversations that I've had, if the United States says we will throw away our 75 plus year relationship with Israel because we don't like their leader, then if we end up with Trump, we set a precedent for all these other allies to throw us away. It will set a certain precedent for allies potentially leaving us if we were to disagree and just be like, well, we don't like your leader. It's all about the relationship between the people and the countries.
That answer was horse crap. Like, what was that?
Yeah,
no, you do send a message. You do send a message. When you refuse to vote for a politician, especially a politician on your side who's a supposed ally.
You know what TYT's always been about? Taking on the corrupt, greedy establishment. For us, it's the corporate media. We've been fighting that fight for over 20 years. For the cell phone industry, it's the same story. A handful of massive corporations ripping you off. That's why we're partnering with Noble Mobile. They're the only wireless company with the same mission as ours, to fight back. Their No Bull plan offers unlimited data for just $50 a month. But here's the best part. For any data you don't use, you get cash back. Real money you can spend however you want. Stop letting your unused data pad the pockets of billionaires. With Noble, you take control over your data. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT in our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan.
Because they continue shelling out more and more and more money to a country that spies on us, a country that just carried out a genocide, a country that has annexed land from multiple Middle Eastern neighbors. Why would I support you? Like, it sends a message that if you're going to support those policies and that unwavering support for a genocidal regime in Israel, there's gonna be a price to pay. There are consequences to that. Kamala Harris learned that lesson. And now, I mean, who knows what she would say if she's actually planning to run for president again. But now she's all of a sudden saying that, what's happening in Gaza is unacceptable. And she's pretending like she's had a big issue with it. Well, you could have fooled me based on the way various activists were treated by the Harris campaign throughout the entirety of her, 3-month campaign. Didn't want to address them, kicked them out of events, wouldn't even allow a Palestinian surrogate who had a prepared speech that had been vetted to speak at the Democratic National Convention. I think that hurt her significantly. And it's gonna hurt people who are mealy-mouthed on the Democratic side, just like Jasmine Crockett is in the clip that we just watched. I wanna go to one more video, Cenk, because it's similar. And this one's a little older. It took place in October of last year. Michael Tracy was asking Crockett about her stance on Israel. Take a look.
Congresswoman, Governor Walz started out tonight by repeating this refrain that Israel has a right to defend itself. Yeah. Israel has just invaded Lebanon. Shouldn't we be looking for a little more than just these platitudes about Israel having a right to defend itself? What is the limiting principle, especially when the US is the one providing the armaments for Israel to wage these military campaigns, as you know, having voted for the National Security Supplemental back in April, which underwrote Israel's war effort.
I absolutely did vote for it. I voted for that along with every other supplemental that was available. And I will tell you this. It is important that people understand what diplomacy looks like. And it looks like the fact that this relationship between Israel and the United States has existed since before I was born. When you look at Israel, I think it is important that people start to talk about the fact that the state of Israel versus their leadership. Because right now, or when I went to Israel, I know that the people were protesting Netanyahu because Netanyahu was reforming the courts.
But she went anyway on an AIPAC sponsored trip. She's actually photographed during that trip. This is in 2023. She attended this AIPAC sponsored trip to Israel. She's standing in front of an Iron Dome battery in the image. So I know that a lot of people in the audience probably really like Jasmine Crockett because she gives this impression of a fighter's spirit. But I would just say that you have to pay close attention to the difference between politics and policy. Because some politicians, I think Trump is a good example of that. They understand the marketing, they understand the theater, they understand the illusion of presenting themselves as someone who cares about the people and is gonna fight for the people. But what does their record show? And on this issue, and for me personally, this is my personal thing, and you might disagree entirely, and that's fine. For me personally, the red line is the unwavering support for Israel. And the reason why is because I want to live in a sovereign country that's no longer controlled by a foreign government. And people like Jasmine Crockett and the way that they think is just going to lead to a continuation of these policies that have led to the destabilization of all sorts of countries in the Middle East, that has led to a lot of pain, suffering, slaughter, and has put us into a tremendous amount of debt. I'm looking for leaders. What I just saw, not a leader. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to our audience in a second. They have divergent opinions on this, and it's interesting, and I want to hear both sides out. First, just on Israel, guys, I watched a bunch of those answers she had, all word salads. She takes corporate PAC money. She supports Israel, votes with them every single time, and so these excuses like, oh, our alliance has been longer than I've been alive, and oh, that area is confusing. Even the Romans wanted it. These are nonsense political answers meant to distract you. No, she's not. She's not stood up to Israel 1%. She's given Israel everything they want. Now, again, that might not be a defining issue for you. You might like her for other reasons, but the reason for me that that's a big issue is not just because of the sovereignty issue that Anna's talking about, but because do you have real courage or is it fake courage? Because let's keep it real, guys. Standing up to Trump within the Democratic Party is a layup. That doesn't take any courage at all. Now, mind you, 90% of Democratic legislators in Congress are so stupid that they don't even do that. They're just so incompetent. But like half of them have dementia and are getting wheeled around. So when Jasmine Crockett comes out and actually opposes Trump, since we're all starving and dying of thirst here for any Democrat to fight for us, a lot of people get excited. But actually, that should be a layup for all Democrats. So where you find out if someone actually has courage and is going to stand up for you is when it's difficult. So what's difficult in DC? Standing up to Israel is difficult. Standing up to the donor class is difficult. Standing up to your own party is difficult. And she's never done any of those things. So I'm happy to be proven wrong, but so far that's what I see. Now, real quick, let me show you what our audience is saying. Members on TYT.com, Stiff Upper Lip says, disagree. That video, the first one we showed you her ad, that video is awesome. The cultists are not going to vote for her anyway. Awesome, I love Cenk and Anna, but the video is awesome. Okay, so guys, remember, don't worry about the 50% of Trump voters that are never ever gonna vote for us. But if you can't get some portion of Trump voters in Texas, by definition, you will not win. That's just an empirical reality. So if you say, I don't care about any of the Trump voters in Texas, you're saying, I don't care about winning. So I just focus, right? But I love you and I hear you, and everybody has a different opinion when they see any video. Nothing wrong with that. And Dirge says the first 4 months after Trump won the election, every TYT story ended with, wait and see. Will they extend the same patience to Democratic candidates? Yeah, but Dirge, I hear you on that too. And the obvious answer is yes. Like if Jasmine Crockett turns around on Israel and challenging the donor class, et cetera, then I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna support it, right? But we weren't waiting and seeing if Trump grew a conscience. That's not what we were waiting for. We were waiting to see how is his own voters, those critical third of the voters, half the voters, whatever number you want to put on it, that can swing back and that could prevent him from doing things and that could push him potentially to do right things. And as we found out, sometimes they pushed and they got him to like challenge Israel on a couple of issues, but overall it fell flat. And then they challenged him on Epstein and won. That was amazing. But on the substantive things like the defense budget, no, they were ineffective and Trump went and did all the terrible things we were worried he was going to do. But that's seeing what happened. Now you see it, you could judge for yourselves. And by the way, the independents who watch us and some of the Trump voters who watch us, they all saw it happen with their own eyes. They saw us being fair and they saw that Trump didn't deliver. So of course the same goes for Democrats. If Democrats turn around and deliver, I would love it. That would make me so happy. All right, and then let me give the other side. Pessimistic Progressive writes in, look at the shirt Crockett is wearing in that clip. It's the beach blonde butch body attack she did against MTG. Yet, out of those two people, only one of them doesn't support a genocide.
I didn't think about that. That's crazy, but you're right.
When you get outflanked on the left by Marjorie Taylor Greene, are you really a fighter for the left? And again, the campaign can prove that she is. So we'll have an open mind on that. Last one's from a YouTube member, Target 8059 said, Jasmine Crockett was a generic establishment Democrat up until November 2024. And that's a stone cold fact. But she found this angle. If I appear to be fighting against Trump, and not really about any particular policy, but overall, you're bad, I'm good, then that'll work, and it has worked. And by the way, she pushed Colin Allred out of the race. I got no love for Colin Allred. He's a corporate Democrat, but he was in the race. She came in and Bigfooted him, and he actually kind of admitted on air, on television, yeah, since she's coming in the race, I'm kind of forced to get out of the race because she has a higher profile. And so that's what's going on. And oftentimes with politicians, it's about the ego and their own advancement. And we hope to God we're wrong about that.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.